¿Cómo me morí con el último bicho? NT. Era el último bicho del último mapa. NT. No, no, no. Qué manera de llover, por favor.
when it came to acting credits. How wrong I was. His new movie with Jenna Ortega just came out, Hurry Up Tomorrow. It debuted with a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's a very accurate score. This film is so bad. I cannot even believe they released it. It is truly a film that is meant only for the most diehard Weeknd fans to do their absolute best to cope with and defend. Because there's no one else who's going to watch this and enjoy it, I don't think. Like, I'm not even just trying to be a Scrooge about it. This is just straight up textbook turbo ass. I wrote some notes while watching it. That's how you know it was bad. And I'd like to go over it here. There's going to be spoilers. If you can even spoil something like this. This is like spoiling a pile of dog shit. Like, there's only so much damage you could do to it and so much you could ruin about it. You know what I mean? This film wants so badly to be taken seriously. Like, trying to command the utmost respect. It tries to be artsy. It tries to be pretentious. It tries to deliver creative shots, but it can't do it. It's all so flat. So when it tries to make creative shots or be like cinematography, like try to be interesting from a cinematography standpoint, it just fails. The one shot that it uses like at least 30 times as a way of trying to be a little unique and quirky is it just spins the camera around rapidly really quick. So it'll do like a bunch of 360 hero shots of the Weeknd as he's just like staring at something, like having some kind of stunning revelation, or it'll spin really, really fast and then start blurring the screen. They do that no less than 10-15 times for some of these shots. That is their go-to bread and butter. It's not an interesting shot. It's disorienting. And it doesn't do anything. It's just fucking stupid. But that's really the whole film in a nutshell. Everything about it is stupid while trying to be deep. Anyway, enough foreplay. Let's get into it here. A lot of the film feels like it's just promotional material for the Weeknd's new music. Like, it really feels like a large chunk of this is you're just listening to a Weeknd concert, which is why I said it feels like it's just meant for Weeknd fans and nobody else. Like, they'll probably be happy just to hear the songs and then just defend the movie for that reason alone. I also like some of the Weeknd's music. You know what I don't like? Having my fucking time wasted. If I wanted to watch a Weeknd concert, I'd watch a video of it on YouTube or get tickets to go see it my fucking self. I don't want to sit here and watch a movie that's like a pseudo-intellectual take on Weeknd music. That's not fun. It really felt like it was just an advertisement for his music. So he plays himself. It is a self-insert. And Jenna Ortega plays a troubled fan. So the very first scene, outside of like the introduction, the very first scene is the Weeknd blowing a raspberry at the camera. I'm not kidding. That is actually the first scene. He just goes... And he does that for like actually 3 minutes. Now he's not staring down the pipe here of the camera. He's looking in the mirror doing this. And I understand this is a real vocal warm-up exercise doing that and just... that kind of thing. But do you know how fucking dumb that is to start this movie with that? So anyway, he then continues all of his like pre-performance rituals. He's on a tour, so he's about to do a big performance, and he does. He does a whole song, and we get to watch it. Yippee. It is the whole song we watch. And then we get his next performance, and he's really angry about this breakup, so he's leaving an emotionally charged voicemail. He wants to cancel this one because he is not in a state to perform. His voice is all kind of, cattywampus, damaged, and he doesn't want to, like, hurt it further. And he's just really down in the dumps over this breakup. His heart's broken. But his manager, he doesn't let him. He forces him to do it. So he gets himself all hyped up. He gets, alcohol in his system. He gets, ripped and roaring. Leaves another, yelling, angry voicemail. You bitch! You're gonna be forgotten, but I'm a fucking legend. I'm the Weeknd, damn it. And then he goes out there and he eats shit. It is a bad performance. He is off his gourd, out of his mind. And that's when he locks eyes with Jenna Ortega. Now, Jenna Ortega, we saw in a previous scene light a house on fire and then drive away. We don't know why she did that yet, but that's what we've seen, and now she's at the Weeknd concert. They lock eyes, and they immediately have a spark, a connection. He then storms off the stage because he's just not ready to perform. He's all pissed off at his manager, so he's evacuating. Jenna Ortega, I'm calling her by her actual name because I don't even know what her character's name is in this movie. I don't think they said it. I think he maybe said something that sounded like Annie once, so maybe that's it. I also don't feel like looking it up either. It's just, if you can't even tell me a character's name and make it stick, then something has already gone awry. So Jenna hops the railing and then finds him backstage. They bump into each other, and then he says, "Do you want to come with me?" She says yes, and then they go on a date. They play air hockey and then ride scooters and then go back to his hotel together. It is a really uncomfortable series of scenes because, like, in the car, he's already crying. I shit you not. I feel like The Weeknd made this film just to prove he can cry on camera, because in every scene he is tearing up and crying. Like, I can't think of a scene that went by that didn't have him with tears in his fucking eyes eating some French fries. Like, it is unbelievable how many times he is crying. So he's even crying, like, on this date, and then they eventually go back to his hotel room, and he plays her a song, an unreleased track. He's like, "I want to show you this." So he plays a song, and I wrote down some of the lyrics here, at least the ones that I could hear. It goes, "Trying to fill this hole my father left so no one else abandons me. My mother." I missed some lyrics here or something, but it goes like, "Mama, I'm sorry." It says it again, like, "Mama, I'm sorry. I hope that I find what I'm looking for." And he plays this whole fucking song, by the way. This movie has such a problem of just dragging these scenes out to an agonizingly long duration that it is so uncomfortable. Like, he plays like a full fucking 4-minute song for her, and then she's tearing up about it too. Like, God. Like, you can get the point across with only like a minute, maybe. You don't need to play the entire discography. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just so unnecessarily long. So she starts crying, and then she's trauma dumping about how this song really touched her, and like how she can relate to it so strongly because her dad also wasn't there for her, and her mother was struggling. So this connection is so powerful. It's such a strong bond. They fuck, and it's a really artsy sex scene. Like, you don't actually see sex, but you see like shapes that resemble something sexual, maybe. I don't know. It's a series of stupid shots. It's like liquid silk moving around. And like, it honestly looked like bowling balls for a little minute there on screen, just like going by. Like, it's a weird scene. But they have sex. And then the next morning, The Weeknd's pretty callous towards her. He's talking about how he needs to go to the next stop on his tour. And she's like, "Well, take me with you. I want to go to Australia," which is where the next one is. And he's like, "No. This was fun, but bye-bye. Godspeed. Good to see you. This was a great time. I don't want anything more with this." And now Jenna Ortega has already received a call from her mother, who is very upset about her burning down the house. And she's already like upset because of that. And then The Weeknd's saying these things, and it hurts her. So she's like, "Well, you said you needed me last night. You don't ever want me to leave, and now you're leaving. This is ridiculous." And this is what has led to that viral clip that I know is floating around from this film, where The Weeknd, in the most unenthusiastic tone ever, goes, "Shut the fuck up. God, oh my God, shut the fuck up." Like, it's become like a viral clip because he has this rant in the film where it actually sounds like the first take, like the actual line reading that they just said, "That's good enough." It is terrible. Like, it is some of the worst acting you'll see on the big screen. I'm shocked that it is in here. So he's doing this rant about like how ridiculous she's being, and she needs to just like keep her mouth shut. Like, this is stupid. We don't even know each other. Maybe I'll call you, but who cares? Boo hoo. Like, oh, now you're all upset. So he's just being a douchebag. And he literally sounds the same way I sound when I get like a bad teammate in Marvel Rivals, where I'm a little annoyed. And this is supposed to be like a really emotional scene, but it is comical with how it's delivered. So then, after he has this whole rant at her, he then turns his back to leave, and she hits him in the back of the head and knocks him out. It's literally like out of Courage the Cowardly Dog when Muriel hits Eustace with like a fucking frying pan or something. So she now assaults him, knocks him out, and then ties him to the bed. While he's like in this ethereal state after getting a concussion, he like goes to hell. So he's like all alone in this version of the hotel, and he's now like wandering these like catacombs, or like this big dark empty tunnel, and then he sees like a woman who's crouched, and then she goes like, boo, and it's a big jump scare moment, and it scares the Weeknd, and it's supposed to startle the audience, and now it becomes like a pseudo horror film. Oh my god, it's so dumb. I can't express to you how stupid it is. Like it really is just, what were they thinking? What were they thinking? And then he like goes to a fire, and then there's like a kid there. I'm assuming it's all supposed to be like very metaphorical and full of symbolism. I'll get into a take I've seen on the film that I think might be what they were going for, but absolutely failed to like deliver. But I'll get to that in a moment. But after he awakes from that like nightmare, he's tied to the bed, and Jenna Ortega wants him to be honest about like what his music means. You know, like he's fucked so many girls, but they're just numbers to him, except for this one girl that was really special. So then what she does, this is actually like pivotal to the film, and it goes on for probably close to 25 minutes. It's like the major chunk of the runtime. She goes through like 3 of his songs. One of them is Blinded by the Light. And she just dances to the songs and then gives like a genius lyric breakdown of what it means. So she tries to soul read him, like Blinded by the Light is like your most honest song. It's like a very strong sense, or a very strong look into what you feel. And it's about this one girl who wasn't just a number to you, she was special, but you hurt her. You were toxic to her, and she broke your heart, and now it's breaking you, and you're writing about it in the song, and I can feel it in your music. And she's just like, now be honest with me, and I'll untie you, I'll let you go. You're toxic, right? And he doesn't play ball with it, but he starts crying. And she's like, okay, another song then. She does the same thing. She dances to it for a while. The fucking whole song plays for these, for the most part. Like, it is the majority of the song plays. It is so unnecessary. So she's dancing to it, and she like breaks down the lyrics again, like, no, it's time to be honest. Maybe you're the toxic person. She's not toxic, right? So she just keeps berating him and like grilling him, going on and on about this. And during this sequence, 3 people left the theater. Over the course of like this, like maybe like 10-minute chunk while she was doing a couple of the songs, 3 separate people walked out of the movie. It's just not a good film. Like, there is nothing here to enjoy. I just wanted to make mention of that. So she continues to go through all of that, and then as she's like, you know, piercing, and it seems like he's about to start being honest with her, his manager shows up. He's banging on the door. He tracked the phone. He knows he's there, and Jenna answers the phone, or answers the door, tries to shoo him away, but he kicks the door in. Then the two get into a big scuffle, and it ends with her stabbing him in the neck, killing him. And then the Weeknd, of course, sees the dead body, and she's covered in blood. So his manager's dead. She killed his manager, and now she's crying again. And the Weeknd's been crying like this whole time, so this is nothing new. But he's also crying. She starts pouring gasoline on him, like we saw in the first scene where she poured gasoline on the house. Now she's doing that to him, and then she's holding the lighter over him, about to light him on fire, killing him. Well, he's closes his eyes and he's accepting his fate. He's coming to terms with everything, and he breaks out into a song. He breaks out into a song. He breaks out into the I'm Sorry song. It's a song all about apologizing and like trying to be honest. I wrote down a couple of the lyrics here as well. He keeps repeating, "Mama, I'm sorry. Mama, I'm sorry. Now I'll burn for the way I treated you," or something. I didn't write them down verbatim, but it was the most like cringe, like almost fanfic level garbage. He breaks out into this song, and this song is like, it's longer than Freebird. It goes for so long. Sitting there covered in gasoline with her with a lighter over him. He's singing for so long, and it moves her so much, she decides not to light him on fire. She unties him. She lights the bed on fire, lights the whole apartment on fire. The The Weeknd walks out. We don't see Jenna Ortega again. He walks out, and then he's looking at himself in the mirror as he exits the hallway, and he's getting ready for his next performance. The end. Pretty abrupt ending. Roll credits. It sucks. It really sucks. Now, I believe there's supposed to be a deeper message with all of this. I don't think it lands, and I have seen a theory that talks about it that I think is probably the closest we'll get. Jenna Ortega's character, most likely, I would think after watching this, was not a real person. I think it was a manifestation of The Weeknd's feelings about himself with the way that the relationship that actually meant something to him ended. And now Jenna Ortega is here trying to get through to him that he was the reason that the only good thing in his life, like the only positive person and positive relationship that he's ever let in, is now gone. It was him being toxic, and Jenna Ortega was meant to be that force to get it through to him. But she wasn't a real character or anything, and what happened in that hotel room wasn't real, so like the burning of it was like symbolic of him, like, you know, burning it to the ground and moving forward. I think that's probably right, but I also think there is an equal chance that it's not even fucking close, and this film is just surface level. Everything you see is what you get. I think there is a very real chance of that being it too. I feel like this could just be true cope, where people have now written something that can almost make sense in the context of this messy dog shit film. And if I was involved with the writing of this, I would latch on to this theory, because it does fit to a certain extent. There are some inconsistencies and some plot holes that this actually is what they were going for, but it does kind of still fit, and it makes it a little more, you know, like pinky out, you know, artsy. But it doesn't make the movie any better, even if that is what it's actually supposed to mean and represent. It's still a bad film. There is still nothing to like about the film, and no reason to care about The Weeknd in the first place in this movie. He's not even really a character. He is actually just performing the vast majority of this movie. He's really not doing anything or getting fleshed out or giving you any reason to get invested in anything you're watching. It's just a waste of time. It is so flat. So I am not surprised this film is getting slammed. It sucks. It is easily the worst film of the year right now. So yeah, I just want to talk about it a bit. That's it. So yeah.
There is nothing like curling up to a good book you grew up with. Except, of course, chain smoking and tippling your way to godhood through a book written by this guy. That's awesome too. If you can do that, do that. Yay! In the shadowy world of rare books, a scruffy and cynical book detective finds himself entangled in a web of intrigue. His mission to unravel the mystery behind a diabolical book and the secretive group of people trying to do the same. The Ninth Gate, a 1999 supernatural thriller directed by Roman Polanski, marks his return to devilish themes after 3 decades since the unveiling of his masterpiece, Rosemary's Baby. The movie is based on the book Club Dumas by the Spanish author Arturo Pérez Reverte. A quick disclaimer before we begin. In 1977, Roman Polanski was charged for a hideous crime that I cannot even say out loud in this video. Facing a long sentence, he fled to France a year later and remains a fugitive, shielded from extradition to the US. Now, here's the dilemma. While I find Polanski's actions absolutely deplorable, many of his movies hold a special place in my heart. I can't help but love them, even knowing that the director himself might be a terrible individual. If I couldn't separate the artist from his art, countless masterpieces throughout history would remain unappreciated. But let's refocus on the Ninth Gate. After completing the 1994 movie Death and the Maiden, Polanski found himself without work. Eager to embark on a new project, he received a movie script from Enrique Urbizu. The story impressed him, particularly its black humor, cinematic characters, and the occult mystery woven into the plot. After reading the 1993 book, Polanski realized how intricate and convoluted the original work actually was. Despite the complexity, he was captivated by the characters and the narrative. Polanski decided to create his own screenplay, enlisting the help of John Brownjohn, with whom he had collaborated several times before. The process of simplifying the story for the film format was extensive. They worked side by side, with Brownjohn typing, together revising and fine-tuning the script, sometimes going through as many as 30 iterations before they were happy with the result. Polanski expressed regret for omitting significant portions of the book, also recognizing the necessity of doing so. Notably, they chose to exclude a major subplot involving the authentication of an alleged unpublished chapter from Alexandre Dumas' The Three Musketeers, where Perez Reverte skillfully intertwined characters from the classic novel with his own narrative. Interestingly, Polanski stated that he has little interest in witchcraft or demonology, finding them laughable and dull in real life. However, he acknowledged their potential as captivating elements for cinematic storytelling. Despite creating only 2 devil-themed stories separated by 3 decades, many have still questioned why he consistently gravitates towards such themes. The film was shot in France, Portugal, and Spain during the summer of 1998 with a budget of $38 million. Due to Polanski's inability to set foot on US soil, scenes set in New York were either staged in a studio, filmed on the streets of Paris, or the indoor settings enhanced with special effects. This scene, I believe, was filmed in New York with the help of a stunt double. Polanski employed several special effects teams to create the film's fantastical look. These effects, while often discreet, played a significant role in achieving the desired visual impact. Critical reception varied, particularly between US and Europe. While European reviews were generally more favorable, American critics had very mixed opinions. The film received praise for its suspense, Johnny Depp's acting, intriguing characters, and thematic exploration. However, reviewers criticized the pacing, the confusing ending, and the lack of chills. Roger Ebert gave the movie 2 out of 4 stars, commending its film noir build-up and Depp's performance, but expressing disappointment with the open ending. Polanski himself viewed The Ninth Gate as a good and entertaining film, an advertisement for hell, in his words. However, he acknowledged that it was similar to other films of its time and didn't make a profound statement of any sort. The premiere of The Ninth Gate took place in San Sebastian, Spain, on August 25, 1999, followed by its North American release in March of 2000. Despite the mixed critical reception, the movie achieved relative success, grossing $58.4 million worldwide against its $38 million budget. Polanski specifically highlighted the cinematography of Darius Khondji and the production design of Dean Tavoularis as crucial elements during the shooting process. Tavoularis, a Greek-American production designer, played an invaluable role in creating stunning sets for the movie, including the Telfer and Balkan libraries, both meticulously crafted in a Parisian studio. Khondji, the Iranian cinematographer renowned for his work on Seven, actively contributed to shaping the film's visual style during pre-production. Polanski commended Khondji's skillful use of lighting, which cleverly balanced realism and fantasy. In 1997, Johnny Depp eagerly joined Roman Polanski's project, driven by his desire to collaborate with the acclaimed director. Initially, Polanski hesitated to cast Depp as Dean Corso, the protagonist who, in the book, was 40 years old. However, Depp's persistence paid off, convincing Polanski that age mattered less than talent and motivation. With his combed back hair, moustache, and glasses, Depp embodied a more mature presence on screen. As Corso, he also liked to smoke a bit and drink in moderation. Polanski initially praised Depp's performance, but later sources suggest a strained relationship between the two, as Depp's interpretation of the character diverged from Polanski's vision. Frank Langella was chosen for the role of Boris Balkan, who was written to be the main antagonist in the movie adaptation instead of the narrator in the original book. Polanski considered Langella charming yet disturbing at the same time and saw his powerful voice as a great asset for the film, as much of the dialogue between Corso and Balkan was to be by phone. Polanski loved Langella's performance in Adrian Lyne's version of Lolita. And come on, he was Skeletor in the Masters of the Universe. Polanski took one look at this scene and said, "There is my antagonist."
Yes! Let this be our final battle!
Or that's my theory anyway. Emmanuelle Seigner was cast as the mysterious protector. She had by then been married to Polanski for a decade, and her role was possibly written with her in mind, but she was still the last one to be cast. In the book, she calls herself Irene Adler, a character from Sherlock Holmes' Scandal in Bohemia, but in the movie she is only known as Green Eyes. The Swedish actress Lena Olin was chosen for the role of Liana Telfer, a sensual and unscrupulous leader of an occult secret society. Polanski saw her very fitting for the role, which oozed intellect, sexual attraction and danger, the classic femme fatale. Yowza! Among the minor characters, James Russo portrayed Bernie, a rare bookseller and Corso's associate. The classical actor Barbara Jeffert stepped into the role of the German aristocrat Kessler.
I am Kessler. I am the easygoing general who does not need to salute properly. Yeah.
Not him, her. Jeffert had very little time to get into the role and adapt the German accent, but did just an amazing job. You just gotta love the way she says the word order.
Membership in the order. Order, order, order. My orgy days are over.
Completing the cast, Victor Fargus was played by Jack Taylor, known for his work in low-budget exploitation films of the 1970s. As a curiosity, the production manager Jose Lopez Rodero played both of the brothers Ceniza in Toledo and both of the movers in the penultimate scene, with some help of creative special effects. Polanski also considered the completely fictional book itself a character. De Umbrarum Regni Novem Portis, 9 Gates into the Kingdom of Shadows, which is said to contain stylistic similarities with another Venetian book also mentioned in the movie, the exceptionally rare Hypnerotomachia Polyphily from 1499, published exactly 500 years before the movie. He wanted a book to be a hero in the movie, which takes place in time where books were being abandoned to computers. He even designed the pentacle in the cover and kept as much of the original engravings from the book as he could, only altering them slightly to fit the characters' faces from the movie. The book's fictional author, Aristide Tokia, paralleled Giordano Bruno, a philosopher and early cosmologist who was burned at the stake in Rome in the year 1600. The musical score was composed by Wojciech Kilar, who collaborated with Polanski on his last movie as well, and was famous for his work with Bram Stoker's Dracula 7 years earlier. He would work with Polanski again on The Pianist 3 years later.
Nice. Ese dato me servía. Mira qué nombre.
The tale unfolds with Andrew Telfer, an aged book collector taking his own life under mysterious circumstances. Enter Dean Corso, a scavenger of rare books, who is summoned by the enigmatic Boris Balkan, an affluent collector with an obsession for occult literature. Balkan reveals that he has acquired the Telfer copy of the infamous Nine Gates into the Kingdom of Shadows. This book, penned in 1666 in Venice, supposedly holds the power to summon the Prince of Darkness in person. Balkan tasks Corso with authenticating the book by comparing it to the two other known copies, one in Portugal and the other in France. Suspicious but enticed by the hefty paycheck, Corso accepts the challenge. Corso interviews Telfer's intriguing widow, who seems oddly fascinated by the book. She later visits Corso at his apartment, attempting to acquire it. Their encounter first turns seductive, and when she does not get her way, violent.
Don't fuck with me!
I thought I already did.
As Corso investigates, he starts to see a mysterious blonde woman trailing him. His journey takes him to Toledo, where he interviews the former owners of the Telfer copy, the brothers Seniza. They reveal that the book was actually purchased by the widow. More intriguingly, they claim that Torquia collaborated with Lucifer on its creation, and 3 out of the 9 engravings bear the signature LCF instead of Torquia's AT.
Lucifer?
Corso barely escapes unscathed after a tall scaffolding almost collapses on him, realizing that the events in the engravings seem now to manifest in reality. En route to Portugal to meet the second copy's owner, he encounters the enigmatic woman once more and suspects her ties to Balkan. Victor Fargas welcomes Corso and lets him inspect his copy of the Nine Gates. Through meticulous study, Corso realizes that the engravings differ from Balkan's copy in a very subtle way, and that different 3 engravings are now signed LCF. A near accident leads to Green Eyes rescuing Corso on her motorbike, prompting Corso to report his findings to Balkan. Early next morning, Green Eyes escorts Corso to Fargas' residence, where they find the owner dead and the second copy burning in the fireplace. Their journey now leads to Paris, where Baroness Kessler, the owner of the third copy, reveals the existence of an old secret society dedicated to safeguarding the book's secrets, now withered into a decadent group of bored millionaires. Kessler throws Corso out after realizing he is working for Balkan. Green Eyes rescues our protagonist again in superhero fashion after another run-in with the gentleman trying to run him over earlier. After weird events in the bedroom and stashing his book again, Corso returns to Kessler trying to dazzle her with his findings about the book. It works, and he gets a chance to inspect the third copy. As expected, the last 3 LCF signed engravings appear in the third book. But suddenly Corso is knocked out, and when he regains consciousness, Kessler lies dead and the third book ablaze. He also notices the Balkan copy he hid has been stolen and suspects the widow. They locate her in Paris and start to shadow her in a repossessed viper. They end up in an opulent chateau, where the secret society is about to have their annual jamboree. Corso attempts to join the festivities, but Boris Balkan crashes the party, declaring himself the sole worthy wielder of the book's power. He kills the widow Telfer and then effortlessly scares everyone off. Corso follows Balkan to an old castle where the 9 LCF engravings have been removed from the 3 books. After a confrontation, Balkan's ritual goes horribly wrong after a very promising start. After one hell of a sexy time with Green Eyes outside the castle, she reveals that the 9th engraving was a forgery. Corso discovers the real one with the mysteriously vanished Senisa brothers. Returning to the castle, he is welcomed by a blaze of light as the credits roll. The ending of the movie and the engravings have been analyzed and overanalyzed by so many others, often in far-reaching and esoteric fashion, that I don't feel like sticking my head into this occult rabbit hole.
Did Depp get actual pirate demons?
She is an abject, psychopathic demon from hell.
A 2-headed dog with 6 legs.
Polanski himself did not take the occult aspects that seriously, and I believe that going too far with the esoteric interpretations might undermine the director's original intent. However, while examining the Balkan's failed ascension scene, I stumbled upon something peculiar. For some reason, the engravings on the table consist of the ones from his own copy, which lies just next to the engravings. These include the AT ones. The differences are clearly on display. The only exception is the number 5, which is the LCF version from the Kessler copy. Was Balkan as much of a fool as the rest of the aged orgy society? It's probably just a blooper, but there it is for your obsessive convenience. In Club Dumas, the engravings are assembled like this, where the matrix gives the sum of 15 in every which way. 1 plus 5 becomes 6, which is, you get the idea. Just to be extra nice, here are the engravings in numerical order with the Latin and its translation. Good luck with your rabbit hole. I like physical media, and I always try to own the best versions of my favorite movies. While The Ninth Gate is readily available in streaming services, finding an EU-friendly Blu-ray is actually quite difficult. The best version I have found is the Spanish Blu-ray. However, this version has an absolutely infuriating quirk of making you choose between the Spanish subtitles or Spanish dubbing. You have to have one. It simply won't let you have original audio without the subtitles. God, I would love to see a 4K restoration. So, for making this video, I watched the rather quirky La Novena Puerta Blu-ray and reread the English translation of the book. I absolutely adore this movie. It has a permanent place in my all-time top 10 favorite list. While most of the other titles on that list are quite universally appreciated, I found it weird how some people hate this movie with a fiery passion, after panning it for the same reasons I find myself loving it. In my view, The Ninth Gate is not a horror film. It's a suspenseful thriller with supernatural undertones. Approaching it as a horror movie with the corresponding expectations would likely lead to a disappointment. The movie's atmosphere mixes the mundane with the fantastical, the serious with the comical, and therefore it has an almost surreal, dreamlike quality to it. Much of it comes from the fantastic visual storytelling of Darius Khondji. All this combined with the clever musical score always gives me the Twin Peaks vibes when I watch the film. Polanski has described The Ninth Gate a mix between Rosemary's Baby and Chinatown, and it's easy to agree with this statement. Brown Jones and Polanski's adaptation was very successful. Whenever I read the book, I find myself thinking that its extra plot lines are just unnecessary. Having said that, the book is definitely worth the read, and I actually prefer the book's version of the ending. The movie's sets, from Bernie's bookstore to Balkan's library, were meticulously created to perfection. The movie never forgets to show the beauty of old books and the harmonious sight of a well-stocked bookshelf. Acting across the board is very good. A lot has already been said about Depp's performance, so instead I will first sing the praises of Frank Langella, whose commanding performance was a high point for me. Several side characters too, like Baroness Kessler and Liana Telfer, were acted brilliantly by Jefford and Lean respectively. Polanski, a former actor himself, always knew how to extract stellar performances. Johnny Depp's portrayal of the protagonist is sublime and natural, yet I do have one criticism. Dean Corso's ambiguity and reserved demeanor left me wondering about his motivations for unlocking the ninth gate. For Balkan it was hunger for power. For Corso, perhaps just good old seductive curiosity. The Ninth Gate is such a fantastic movie, and while it has become a cult classic, I find its reputation among the general public to be fairly obscure. If I could compel everyone to watch just one movie, it would be this one. I watch the movie at least once a year, and while it was not even a passion project for its director, the leathery shine of the Nine Gates never fails to leave me in awe. So, what are your thoughts on the Ninth Gate? Do you like the word order? If you want to see more content, please like, comment and subscribe. And if not, that's okay too.
I love movies with ambiguous endings. Movies in which you only notice important details when you watch them again. Polanski's mystical thriller The Ninth Gate is a vivid example of such movies. On the one hand, everything is clear. Dean Corso recognized the mystery of the Ninth Gate, but what was the primary reason for its climax? Did Boris Balkan really make a mistake? He had entrusted the entire job to someone else, taking the easy way out. Perhaps if he had taken on the investigation on his own, he would have opened the Ninth Gate. We even see that the keeper of the secret books might have chosen him from the beginning, but did the girl keep the last engraving in her possession? The Sinistera brothers were the first to solve the mystery, and perhaps the first to discover the Ninth Gate. They were the ones who forged the engraving in their book, which they later sold to Lyanna Telfer. I think the Sinistera brothers are the main characters in the movie. They planned the whole thing. When Corso first comes to see them, we can notice a very strange detail. One of the brothers, whose name is Pedro, wears round-rimmed glasses and smokes, just like Corso does throughout the movie. But once Dean breaks his glasses and buys himself new ones with the same frame as the other brother, Pablo, he is prevented from smoking in every way possible. The twins Pedro and Pablo Sinistera are very similar in appearance, but they have different glasses, and one of them is an avid smoker. After smoking his first cigarette, he immediately takes a second one and even tears off the filter. Pablo is blunt. He does not approve of his brother's bad habit, but he does not forbid him to smoke in the bookshop. They are some of the best craftsmen. The brothers not only restore books, but are also able to replace missing pages, meaning they have access to the right paper and ink of the time. At the end, we learn that the Sinistera brothers were able to forge the 9th engraving of the book. Yes, and it was clear during the conversation that they are capable of it and even brag about their abilities, calling themselves the Masters. When Corso finds a clue about the girl on the car windshield, it indicates who the keeper of the secret really is. Dean visits the workshop again and realizes that the brothers are actually the apostles Peter and Paul, but at the very entrance, the voice of Cicciolina's boy is heard in the background. But who said it? There's not a single person outside. If the first time we saw the boy run out of the alley and shout these words, who is Cicciolina's boy saying it this time? I think it's a kind of password, a signal to the brothers. The right person has come into the workshop. When Corso goes inside, he sees two workers who introduce themselves as Pepe Lopez and Ricardo Ferrero. Corso again doesn't understand what's going on and doesn't recognize the two brothers, even though the twins are still in front of his eyes, and Pedro is smoking again. Plus, there's a hidden meaning in Pepe's first name. It's how the apostles Peter and Paul are abbreviated in Spanish. When they see that Dean Corso has come to see them, they give him the missing engraving. It depicts a Babylonian harlot riding a seven-headed serpent. Corso immediately realizes that this is the same green-eyed girl who has been helping him throughout the story. But two other details are important here. First, if we look at the first engraving, we see that the castle behind the harlot is on fire, which is exactly the same event as when Corso found Balkan. How did the brothers know about the fire if they didn't have the other two examples of the ninth gate? They kept the book for a long time, studied it fully, discovered the secret, realized how dangerous the ninth gate was, forged the engraving, and kept the original, thinking it would be enough. The second detail is the girl, known as the Babylonian harlot. The fact that this is the harlot is indicated by a huge number of facts. The first and most important is, of course, the image. The theological interpretation. In the Revelation of John the Theologian, it is written about the judgment of the great harlot sitting on many waters, with whom the kings of the earth committed fornication, and the wine of her fornication was drunk by those who dwell on the earth. A green-eyed girl sitting on a scarlet beast filled with blasphemous names, with 7 heads and 10 horns. This is exactly what we see in the engraving. The harlot has superpowers. She can fly short distances and hypnotizes with her green eyes. She is likely hundreds of years old, as she was depicted in a book published in 1666. The car she drives is a red Dodge Viper. Viper translates to snake, a reference to the same 7-headed scarlet serpent from John's Revelation. But why would she help Dean Corso? In the very first encounter between Dean and the harlot, which takes place at Boris Balkan's lecture, we see that she is not interested in Balkan's words. Her chair is turned sideways. Everyone in the lecture has a notebook to take notes except her, and her hands are in her pockets. The director emphasizes all of this by slowly moving the camera, capturing all the people in the room. Due to a mistranslation, we hear that Balkan is talking about a sorcerer, but in the original, he uses the word hex. The correct translation should be, the first person to know the laws of God was called a witch. A witch is a person who seeks to live through the benefits of a pact made with the devil. Thus, the green-eyed girl, the harlot, is a witch, and she made a pact with the devil. This was clear from the beginning. Her hair color, eyes, abilities, and her ultimate purpose. We know that if it weren't for her, Corso would likely never have learned the secret of the ninth gate. But more interesting to me is his journey. At one point, we see Corso, who initially rejects violence, turn into a monster. By the look on her face, the witch is pleased with the result of his transformation. When exactly did the girl choose him? Corso doesn't believe in God or the supernatural, but throughout the movie, his behavior changes, and by the end, we see a different person. To understand this, we must start at the beginning, with the book De Umbrarum Regni Novum Portis, a book written by Satan himself. The last owner of this book was Aristide Torquia. This occultist writer in 1666 created 3 books of the Ninth Gate, in which he hid prints from De Umbratum Regni Novum Portis. Each of the 3 books has 6 engravings by Aristide Torquia. The others are original and signed by Lucifer. You need to find all 9 of the real engravings from the 3 samples of the Ninth Gate. They form a diabolical puzzle. Balkan believes that if you decipher it correctly, you can summon the Prince of Darkness and gain powers previously unknown to any living person. His knowledge is false, based on the idea that finding all 9 prints and reciting the words spelled out at the bottom of the engravings in the correct order will open the ninth gate. But we see the other side of the coin. Corso experiences all the gates throughout the story. Let's start with the first engraving. Corso hides, in every way possible during his investigation, who his customer is and who owns the copy of the book he bought from Telfer. But this print in Balkan's copy, created by Aristide Torquia, is not original. The Baroness's book differs not only in the number of towers in the castle, but also in the inscription at the bottom. Her engraving from Lucifer reads, "No one who fights outside the rules will achieve this." Balkan is the one who initially circumvents the rules, taking the easy way out by entrusting the investigation to another. He alone believes himself to be the chosen one. Boris is unworthy of knowledge, unlike Dean. The second image and inscription open the locked gate. The Elder has 2 keys and must pick the right one to gain knowledge. Dean Corso is visited twice by Baroness Kessler. The second time, he bypasses the watchdog, the secretary, and shares his findings with the Baroness. Of course, he gets a reward for it. Kessler is thrilled that after all these years, she has learned all 3 books are different, so she lets Dean examine her copy. Third engraving, "A chosen word, may the secret be kept." The Sinistera brothers point to Lucifer's signature and say its meaning is simple. If you dare to go too far, danger will fall upon you from above. When Corso discovers the hidden secret of the book, the authorship of certain engravings, danger confronts him. But that's not the most interesting part. In the original novel, the Archer looks different in other copies created by Aristide Torchia. Have you noticed yet? Director Roman Polanski intentionally changed the angel. In the Lucifer copy, one of the Sinistera brothers is drawn. It turns out that they, like the girl with the green eyes, are part of the puzzle. This means they are also centuries old, as the image of one brother appears in the book. Most importantly, he's depicted as an angel. That's how they knew what the 9th engraving depicted in the other copies. 4th engraving. Fate is not the same for everyone. A jester walks into a labyrinth. Whether you're a fool or not, fortune can smile on everyone. You just have to keep moving. In Lucifer's original, the passage to the end of the labyrinth is closed. In Torchia's copy, the door is open. Dean Corso, when he arrives at Lyanna Telfer's estate, sneaks through the window. He sees the target and doesn't care about the obstacles. Balkan, on the other hand, enters through the front door. Corso is wearing a robe resembling the engraving's clown jester. Balkan calls the occultist club jesters dressed in silly robes. What do you see? A bunch of clowns in silly outfits. Once again, Corso relives the events of the original engraving. Balkan, however, is on the wrong track. 5th engraving. In vain, or in vain. The engraving depicts an old man counting his gold, accumulated in vain. Death holds an hourglass. In Lucifer's original, the sand is at the bottom, meaning the old man's time has run out. No amount of gold can save him. In Aristide Torchia's engravings, the sand is at the top, implying that with occult knowledge, even death can be bargained with. Corso, at the start of his journey, is driven only by money. He doesn't care about what, where, or when, only the zeros on the check. Balkan, however, needs no wealth. He knows death is inevitable, so he seeks to open the 9th gate for immortality. 6th engraving, enriched by death. In Lucifer's original, the man is hanged by his right leg, like Bernie the bookseller. In Torchia's version, he hangs by the left leg, thus the sword-holding hand is closer to the rope. A person can reach up to cut the rope and save the hanged man, a symbol that fate sometimes requires others' help. Bernie was likely killed by Lyanna Telfer's men. Balkan had no motive. The key point, Corso does not control his destiny. He has the witch's aid. She saves him repeatedly, provides clues, and guides him to his goal. Sometimes, opening the 9th gate demands collaboration. Engraving 7, the student surpasses the teacher. 2 fighting dogs, black and white, are seen in the background, a symbol of the eternal war between good and evil. Dean Corso became a hostage to the game, but was able to outplay all the owners of the 3 books, Balkan, Kessler, and Fargus. The apprentice surpassed the masters. 8th gate, valor lies defeated, which can also be understood as victory due to the courageous. The Wheel of Fortune can be seen at the back. The victor stands at the top. In the front, a man kneels, praying for mercy. In the original Lucifer, the knight bears a halo, suggesting the monk is unlikely to be killed. Corso literally experienced this gate. The Wheel of Fortune chose him, yet he was still struck on the head. The 9th gate. Now I know that out of darkness comes light. It symbolizes that even in darkness, one can find light, and within light, a trace of darkness remains hidden. The original engraving depicts the same girl who aided Dean. She is the key to the 9th gate, choosing who is worthy to receive all or nothing. If you believe the witch chose Corso initially, she did not. Balkan also pursued his own path, but ultimately accepted faith as truth. The director portrayed a ritual where the green-eyed stranger marks Corso with her blood, subtly and sure, though occult traditions specify menstrual blood. In the end, Dean survived all 9 gates, glimpsing light in the tunnel's depths. He gained power he never sought, chosen by the Sinai's brothers and the witch. The film The 9th Gate debuted in 1999. Inverting its final digits yields the beast number 666. This motif recurs throughout. Boris Balkan inputs 666 to access his vault, and the lock's cat emblem bears triple sixes. Jose Lopez Rodero portrayed both Sinai's brothers. To craft the twins, Polanski employed motion capture, yet director Roman Polanski dubbed Paul Sinai's voice to distinguish it. Lopez Rodero also doubled as twin janitors, though makeup obscured the connection. Iconic lines endure, like, "The most loyal people are those whose loyalty is purchased for cash." Polanski's meticulous details shine, the haunting score, gothic atmosphere, and performances, particularly the witch's eerie presence. Yet unanswered questions linger, leaving room for debate. Why did Telfer hang himself? There's too little explanation. Who is the girl, and what are her goals? The lion's share of the story unfolds off screen, leaving key moments underdeveloped. An ordinary viewer might struggle to grasp the plot or spot hidden details, like noticing a Sinai's brother in the engraving without pausing the frame. Roman Polanski admitted in interviews he was satisfied with the final film, but regretted abandoning one idea, introducing two spectral figures, a god and a devil, to haunt Dean Corso. Silhouettes glimpsed in certain scenes hint at this unrealized concept. As for Telfer's suicide, my theory, Balkan revealed the truth about his wife Liana's orgies and the cursed book. Overwhelmed by betrayal and rage, Telfer sold the book, then chose to end his life. Pure speculation, but it fits. Despite loose ends, the film's allure endures. Polanski's craftsmanship shines. The haunting score, gothic atmosphere, and performances, especially the witch's eerie presence, remain captivating. Years later, I still revisit it, dissecting its mysteries. What's your take? Share your theories below. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.
Bueno, nos vemos la próxima. Se terminó, gente. Tengo que ir a comer. A comer un... Nah. Me tengo mucha hambre. Tengo que ir a comprar algo para comer. Así que... Quizás más tarde a la noche podemos seguir. Hoy es una noche muy tormentosa. Y... noche de viernes, así que...